lovers, today we are heading back to small town for a holiday that is anything but merry. I am talking about ghost that doesn't just want to chat, a secret society that has a dark agenda, love and friendship that is tested at every turn. And that book is Charming Touch of Tarot. This is the second book in a Gin and Tonic Club series and a sequel of An Enchanting Case of Spirits. And if you think this is a fun, delightful, spooky sequel like the first book, you have another thought coming. Because in this, the stakes are rising, body counts are rising, tension is just top notch. Story picks up where the first book ended. Eliza misses her date with Nick, but Nina opens up about her past, what her husband was holding on her, and how she finds out about his betrayal. And all that through touching him. Turns out it wasn't just Eliza who unlocked the gift on her birthday. Nina also had it. And that is when she touches somebody, she gets to see the glimpse of their life. And this kind of sets the tone of the book. It's Christmas. Eliza is busy celebrating holidays with her friends. Nick is busy keeping the culprits of the first book behind the bar. And it had been a good time until Eliza notices a ghost of a young girl. She is determined to keep the holidays ghost free and ignores the spirit. But on the New Year Eve, Lani comes to them frantically and tells them that she has a very terrible nightmare and to avoid what she saw and keep the new year trouble free, they have to do the series of rituals. Meanwhile, the ghost Eliza spotted turns out the deadness of Nick's captain. And Nick gets busy in another murder case. The book is not part of Gin and Tarot Club if there is only just one ghost. More ghost appears. And one of the ghosts is Nick's ex-fiancée, Isla. Between solving the murder cases, helping Nina, finding a man whom she loved in past, and also she saw when she touched her husband and have a doubt that he might have done something to him, along with giving Nick closure with Isla. Eliza's hands are full. This time, most of the story takes place away from Knox suburb because, of course, murder locations and also Nina's search of the man. And this time, I had no clue how murders are connecting, and as Eliza is helping Nina finding her lost love, I have no idea how she is going to help Nick in solving the cases. Turns out the plot spirals into dangerous territory this time with secret society that dabbles in dangerous activities, and there is more than just that. And also, ghosts are not friendly this time. They are very dangerous, they are very angry, and they are not ready to leave. Eliza's ability has evolved. She not just sees the spirits and ghosts, she also sees murders and future events that might happen through her nightmare. Talking about characters, Eliza is still reluctant heroine. I thought we are over it in the first book, but apparently not. She is definitely less jumpy than she was in the first book, but she is still very much confused as her abilities are evolved. And she is far from eager to help the ghost and solve their murders. One thing I loved is that she is more open about everything she is experiencing with her friends and Nick. And Nick is not as much doubting her as he was in the first book. I loved how she helped Nina finding Ian, who is her lost love by the way, and also I like that Isla being in the story didn't stir up that jealousy drama, which was really good, and Isla in fact was really supportive of Eliza and Nick's relationship and really wanted Nick happy. Nick strangely believes Eliza and her ability, but he is still skeptical. He doesn't believe in all the psychic abilities and all other mediums as well. But when they encounter a tarot reader near the climax, he learns to not judge all the medium by their look. He also has his perspective throughout the book, but it is scattered, and through his perspective we get insight on his struggle to say goodbye to Isla and also define his relationship with Eliza. Nina was amazing throughout the book. I really loved her story and it was heartbreaking and touching. I loved how brave she was all this time, keeping her hurt and what she felt by hand of her, not just her mother but her husband, to herself, and not sharing any of it with her friends. Going through it alone is really terrible, and I rooted for her for that. She deserved happiness, and that happiness will be when she finds her lost love Ian and finds out if he is alive and what really happened to him. Her ability of seeing into people's mind and their life through touch was fascinating. And while being the skeptic of the group, she was pretty uncomfortable with her gift. I love that every time, when needed, she helped Eliza and Nick in solving the case. Lani remains mysterious. It's pretty clear that she has some ability, but what it is, we don't know yet. And there is another mystery is that she also has a past, and somehow that is connected with the present case. Corinne was not as present as the first book, and I really missed her sassy, dry humor. As for the climax, it was surprising and satisfying. While I guessed secret society's role in the murder cases, the real culprit and their motives blindsided me. While they found the culprit who was behind the murders, the case is not entirely closed, and like I said, it was connected with Lana's past, which sets higher stake for third book that might resolve the case entirely. Overall, a charming touch of tarot is tense, dark, atmospheric, paranormal mystery with lots of secrets, danger, friendship, creepy supernatural elements, and a touch of romance. I am already excited for the third book in this series. So that's it. Let me know in the comments if you would rather have ability to see ghost or ability to read mind. If you like this video, like, comment and hit that bell button so you don't miss out on next bookish content. See ya!